Hey guys, welcome back here to Intuitive Angling, and man, I appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and hanging with me a little bit. And guys, today we're going to be talking about perch and bass, and something that you have got to know about perch and about how bass feed on perch. It's going to tell you a lot of different techniques, and it's going to tell you the depth that the fish are in, and it's going to give you a good clue how to catch the fish, and it's going to definitely help your bass fishing. Because one of the things about like these YouTube videos, I don't think I've ever seen a video about people talking about perch and bass, and I am a huge believer and a huge advocate of understanding perch behavior and how bass feed on them and live with those perch throughout the year. So I'm going to give you guys some good tips and advice and insight from my own experiences with perch and bass, and I know it's going to help you guys catch more fish, so we'll dig into that. Also, guys, I got 3 quick housekeeping tips to take care of before we get started. Just want to remind everybody, if you haven't tried it, guys, try out this Bridgeford Sweet Baby Ray beef jerky, man. You can get this at any Walmart checkout counter in the country. It is the best beef jerky you will ever eat. You will not be able to put it down. It's made from real meat slices. It's like, you know, the meat that they use to make the jerky here, it's not compressed. It's actually off of pieces of meat that like you would put, you know, make for your Sunday dinner. Beautiful cuts of meat, guys. Attention to detail on this product, second to none. They've been family-owned business since the 1930s. I've seen how they make the product. You guys will love this stuff. Great boat food also. And Bridgeford Foods, guys, is one of the top supporters of conservation efforts in the sport of bass fishing. So definitely check that out. And guys, you may have heard me, we do have my new Blaukat Throwback live rubber football head jig up at Tackle Warehouse. This is my living rubber hand-tied football head jig. I'll have the Tackle Warehouse link in the description to my football head jig if you guys want to try one. Got 7 different colors and 3 sizes. And finally, guys, if you are looking for a really good bait cast reel that can cast small lures, check out this new Cast King Kestrel Ultimate. Guys, this reel is designed specifically to cast smaller lures down to a 1/16 of an ounce, like your little crankbaits, shaky heads, small jerk baits like this, little top waters. The braking system and the low friction line guide is designed specifically to cast light line and small lures. So I'll have the Cast King link in the description here to the Kestrel Ultimate, and use the promo code Randy10 for additional discount. So thank you very much for putting up the plugs there. Really appreciate that. Okay, guys, the veterans of my channel, you guys have been with me for a while. You've heard me talking about perch, and I want to dig into this in today's video in detail a little bit and really help you understand sort of the dynamic between perch and bass, and you know how they live with them and how they feed on them, and you know how you can use that to your benefit. Okay, bass are predators, first of all, and they'll go for anything in the lake that they can catch, but they really like perch. I mean, perch is a big meal for them. I mean, it offers a lot of protein. You know, once they get a perch, you know, depending on how big it is, they, you know, may not have to feed for a while. And perch are a key food source for a bass all year long, but no more, there's not another time of year that perch is more important for a bass than in the summertime of the year. Because in the summertime of the year, perch are shallow. They live really, really shallow in the summertime. I'm talking about perch will live in anywhere between 6 inches of water, you know, down to 20 foot of water, but they live primarily, a lot of them, in shallow water, because what happens is whatever species of perch you have, like the one I'm holding up in the thumbnail is the black perch. If you have black perch, you know, bluegills, pumpkin seeds, red ear sunfish, whatever it is, as long as that water temperature is over about 70 degrees, those perch are shallow and they spawn. They spawn multiple times throughout the summer. So you have perch spawning in big numbers in shallow water all summer long, even if the water is 100 degrees. I mean, you can go to about any lake in the country, like right now, time of filming this video, it's first part of August, and you can take a little bobber on a piece of worm and throw it up on the bank back in a cove about anywhere and catch perch. Bass know that. They know those perch are spawning back there. So every single lake, I don't care if your water visibility is 10 foot clarity or 10 inches in clarity and everything in between, you have got a population of perch hunters, a perch hunting bass that live shallow all year long in the hottest part of the summer. The distribution of perch throughout a lake It really depends on the type of lake that you have and the distribution of bass that actually feed on those perch. But say, for example, in my part of the country here in Missouri, we have some clean water. So you have probably, I'm going to guess, 50 to 60% of our bass in the summertime are out in the middle of the lake, just roaming around, suspended, chasing shad. About 60% of the entire fish population. You have another probably, I'm going to guess, 10 or 15% of the bass that are sort of like in that mid-zone range. They're the bass that like you live around boat docks in 5 or 6 foot of water, or they're out on a point in 5 to 10 foot of water, or something like that, or they're living on a riprap bank. Excuse me. And then you got, another 30% of bass that actually live, and they live all summer long in less than 5 foot of water, and sometimes less than 3 foot of water. These are the bass that get up there in real shallow water, and they roam those shallow areas hunting for spawn and perch. So let's talk a little bit about where you need to look for these type of fish and how to catch them. If you have a lake that has, spawning habitat for largemouth bass or spotted bass, like flatter coves with hard bottoms, places that where bass spawn in the summertime, these are the places that perch spawn at. They spawn in the exact same places that bass do. And one of the things about perch spawning is they spawn in multiple groups. So when you find perch spawning, a lot of times they're in like saucer-sized beds, about the big as a pie plate, and there may be 15 or 20 of them, like within a 20-foot space. You'll see a bunch of beds all in one area, especially like in the back of coves. But they don't just spawn in the back of the coves; they'll spawn in a lot of places. They like to spawn on flat, shallow areas that are hard. They like to spawn on like any shady type flat bank, like an overhanging tree. And most of the time, they're going to be spawning about halfway back in a cove to all the way back. Perch love to spawn in the very back of a flat cove, a lot of times in the middle of that cove. So it depends on there. So given that, I usually start fishing. I'll go back into those flat coves, and I'll start about halfway back in the cove, and I start working my way all the way to the back of the cove and about out halfway out the other side. That's my approach to fishing for these spawning perch. You don't have to see the beds. Here's the thing about it. It's like it helps sometimes if you see beds once in a while, but very seldom are you going to actually see bass running these perch and going after them. Most of the time, these perch, again, depending upon the water clarity, if you can see them or not, these perch are in there all year long, so these bass are in and out of those areas all year long. So say, for example, if you're one of those 30% of the hunter-gatherer perch feeding bass that you live shallow, and say you're a 3 or 4 pound bass, you'll go in one of those coves there, and you may not know if there's any perch in there, but you go through those coves, and you'll make a round around the cove. If you don't get one, you may go to the next cove, and you may find a cove that's got some perch in it. You may gobble up a perch. Say you grab a 4-inch perch in there, you're good to go for 3 or 4 days, and then you repeat the process. And other bass do the same thing. They're always hunting these shallow areas looking for perch, and they tend to be lone rogue bass. They're not in groups in there. So therefore, in order to capitalize on this, how you catch these perch roamers is, number one, you have to stay in those type of areas, those flat coves. Number two, you have to run as much as that type of water as you can, because you're looking to catch maybe 1 or 2 fish per cove. And sometimes you'll go to 3 or 4 coves and not catch one. Then you may go to 3 or 4 coves and catch 1 or 2 out of it. But that's what you have to do. You're running this pattern. Now, the techniques are really important here as far as how you're going to catch them. I've got 2 different type of techniques that I fish for spawning perch in the summertime, depending upon my water visibility. If the water visibility is like, say, under 2 foot, like you have some stained water, this is when I'm throwing a swim jig. Obviously, a perch pattern swim jig. I'm usually using some type of a green pumpkin, maybe some type of orange or chartreuse in the skirt, and I've got a green pumpkin twin-tail trailer, usually with some green pumpkin on the end of it, or excuse me, some chartreuse on the end of it. I'm trying to put it together to look like a perch. Might even put a little blue in there, blue and yellow, like for a bluegill. And I'll go back into those same type of areas with my swim jig. I'll just throw the swim jig to the bank. I'll keep my rod tip high, and I'll work that swim jig. I'll keep it in sight. And I'm trying to target, anywhere between 1 to maybe 5 foot off the bank. And I just work that bank down with that swim jig. Fishing pretty fast, covering water. That's my stay in water approach. If I have water visibility over 2 foot, it's going to be a topwater deal. And topwater is my favorite way to catch them. So depending upon the specific water clarity, the perch, the perch type topwater that I'm using can be a wide range of things. One of my favorites is a prop bait, especially if that water visibility is say 2 to 3 foot. Any type of like a little double propeller bait, like a little devil's horse, or just any prop bait. I mean, it can be a fat one or a long one. And I work that prop bait, same way. Cast it to the bank. I'll just, work it, just like a slush bait all the way through there. Really good way to catch them in that situation. If the water visibility is right around there, maybe a little bit cleaner, and if I've got specifically like a cloudy day sometimes, I'll use a smaller whopper plopper, can work good. But my favorite bait all time for perch fishing or for perch feeding bass is getting into these areas that have over 3 foot of clarity. So, excuse me, a little bit cleaner water, three to however clarity that you may have, and I'm throwing a walking topwater like that Megabass Diamante or a Zara Spook. A walking topwater is my #1 favorite summertime perch bait. You don't have to have a perch pattern either. Just any color works. I mean, I use black, I'll use shad patterns, I'll use a bullfrog pattern. The color doesn't matter. You don't have to resemble a perch on the topwater. You're just covering water with that walking topwater. And guys, you can catch some quality fish doing that. I'm talking about in the middle of summer on a hot day. It can be 100 degrees out and sunny, and those perch will still be up there spawning, and you can still catch them on that walking topwater. Prime example of where I've done this at. I've done it like at Lake Washita in Arkansas, a Clearwater Lake. I've done it all through the Ozarks in my part of the country. I've done it at Lake Norman and Lake Murray, North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina. Anywhere you have that clear water, they're going to do that. So main thing, guys, if you don't want to fish deep in the summertime and you want to stay shallow, target those perch, man. Target the perch with the topwater baits or, that swim jig, something like that. And it's definitely another good technique to catch them. So hope it helps out.